There's a thunderstorm going on over here, and I'm loving it. Today, I am excited because I was thinking about soul contracts, and I haven't done a video or created much content around this. I've actually have all my notes here because I want to make sure I don't miss anything because I tend to miss things sometimes, especially when I go on a tangent and I start channeling. I have talked a lot about soul contracts, but also not only on my channel here, but also on the Soul Tribe podcast, which we're not doing anymore with my sister Lucia, but um, it's been a topic we talked about a lot. And a lot of people come to me for Akashic record readings, psychic mediumship readings, and it's a huge topic. And I thought I'd go into it and to show my perspective. Obviously, it's not that I have all the answers, but this is my perspective, my way of seeing things through the records, through my channeling, through my own spirituality, and what I've learned through countless readings, through getting readings from other people as well. And I figured I'd just kind of share what I know. And I think this could help a lot of you because a lot of you have questions around this. I, of course, believe in incarnation, reincarnation, that our soul can have many lives and that has had past lives and could come into a future life, incarnate into another experience, another human body, or even, who knows, somewhere else. But a lot of times people can feel that they know a soul. They meet somebody like, I feel like I've known this person. That's happened to me countless times with people. If you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm reading my notes a little bit so I don't forget. And the soul contract, really, to sum it up in a sentence or two, in some like a short, because I don't want to go too much into because I'll explain it as we go through. Um, the soul contract, we all have soul contracts. We may have several. We have a soul contract with our own soul and the experience it wants to live here. So that in itself is like a container. And then we have different soul contracts with different souls. These soul contracts are put in place before we even physically incarnate here. And there are agreements between souls to learn certain lessons, to play certain roles, and to help each other. Some soul contracts are easy or easier, and some are really complex, emotionally difficult, because obviously our soul comes here to live really intricate and, through the records, it feels like beautiful lessons, but our ego and our emotional body have a hard time processing things. And we can live really complex things as humans. The soul obviously sees everything from a very different perspective and energy. And I don't think these agreements and these soul contracts are ever punishments. A lot of people can come to me and feel like, why is this happening to me? Almost feeling like victims of their situation, which I can completely understand in many cases. But I want you to almost like take a step back and kind of have all these experiences from a different perspective. And I hope this helps some of you maybe. These soul contracts are opportunities of growth, expansion, and just for your soul to really learn, right? We cannot learn on our own. If you are isolated in your own room and you never connect with anybody, you're never going to learn anything. Or you'll learn something, but you won't fully expand to your capacity. And your soul will learn different things in different lifetimes. So if we can like kind of just start off from that energy, right? That these soul contracts are here to show us something, teach us something, expand on something, and really bring growth if we allow it. Free will. I'm going to mention free will a lot here in this video. I'm going to try not to go too long on this video. But free will is a huge, huge part of our soul contract. We all have it. Some of us use it more than others, of course. And our soul doesn't, when our soul decides to incarnate here on Earth, because I can only speak for Earth because I'm very grounded, I have a lot of Taurus energy, like I always say, our soul comes here not to live the easiest life. It comes here to learn lessons, which means you will be put in situations, relationships, connections, maybe even crossroads at moments that will feel difficult, right? Or challenging. I think I like that word more, challenging. And the soul's always looking to put itself in situations where it can evolve and grow. Evolve is the best word here because the challenge creates friction for you to evolve and grow and expand. Your soul only cares about you evolving and to experience things in a way that it can bring that into, almost like turn it into light so that it doesn't have to repeat it. And we'll get into some of the karmic stuff later. I'm obviously I'm generalizing everything here. If you guys want me to go into anything specific, please let me know. I can create a separate video on all of this. I'm going into things that I know and that I can understand and that hopefully help you understand yourself and whatever you're going through. I study evolutionary or psychological or humanistic astrology, which is, it's about evolving. It's about the soul. It understands that there's past lives. And in evolutionary astrology, a lot of you can maybe look into your charts. You can pull up your chart online. The chart can be a huge reflection of some of these things that our soul comes here to evolve and learn and grow in. The natal chart is a map. That is the best way to describe your natal chart. It's a map to show you where you need to evolve, where you need to grow, where you can focus your energy on to become more healed or more aligned or more centered, where you're holding yourself back, where your challenges will be as well. And a lot of this will be in, at least from this is how I study astrology and how I am going to start offering services around this. A lot come through where you can see where you need to evolve is your sun, your ascendant, and your north node. These are three huge things that you can look in your chart and just study that for now. Look it up, Google, search on ChatGPT. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. It's a lot more complex than that, but it can start giving you some indicators to understand yourself. I always say when I got my first evolutionary or humanistic astrology reading, it was the first time that I could fully, I saw myself, I understood myself. I got to a deep understanding and allowing of parts of me that I couldn't understand. I like to see things. So it helped me see it, understand it. And then I went on to study it, obviously, because I was like, this is just amazing. Like, I can't believe I didn't find this kind of astrology before. Some people love human design. I think human design has its value as well. It's wonderful. And I always see a lot of crossover in certain things. So that's one place you can start looking, right? If the spirituality and channeling is a little too much, look at your chart. I think it could bring a lot of value. I always like to also say, soul contracts aren't only about romantic partners. They're not. Soul contracts are everything from the relationship with your mom, your father, siblings, coworkers, your boss. Yes, romantic partners as well, with everything. Even your relationship with money, there's a contract there as well, right? Obviously, that's not like a human being, but there's an energy around everything, right? So this could be with complete strangers, somebody you meet, and that's happened to me several times, meeting complete strangers, and like, I know this person from another life, I know it. And this person, I spent an hour with them speaking at a coffee shop or on a train or on a bus or on an airplane, and it filled me up, and I learned something so deep that not even the people around me in my day-to-day could teach me. Those all have value, and they have their place within our soul contracts as well. Not to mention if you're a parent, our soul contracts with our children are huge, huge. And I also like to say, it doesn't matter if that person's in your life, like I just said, an hour, 5 minutes, or an entire lifetime, or years. The soul does not look at time the way that we in our ego as humans look at time. It's very different. So different that sometimes when I go on the records, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Because our ego is constantly trying to bombard us with things that just the soul doesn't connect with, doesn't look at it that way. It's a different perspective, right? Another thing I'll also say is probably the most meaningful soul contracts are the ones that feel the hardest. They're not the easy ones. The easy ones they exist within our reality, but they're not the ones that we end up growing the most from. So when somebody comes to me in a reading and I say, well, this person's a huge teacher for you, a huge expander for you, I can see the beauty in it when I'm in the records, but I also see the perspective of the person going through the difficulty. And of course, I am not here I'm generalizing here, obviously, because every person and their experience and their soul contract and their soul contracts with people are very unique, and some can be very difficult. And when I mean difficult, I mean very traumatic, very difficult, very painful things. But I think that the hardest relationships are usually ones that give us this push to really grow and evolve. Sometimes the soul doesn't need that as much. It depends on the person and what they've experienced in past lives and what they came here to learn. This doesn't mean that suffering is the main goal, right? That's not what I'm saying here. And it's not to be a victim or for these experiences to bring you down. It's how do you like traverse that? How do you transform through the experiences and the relationships? And I always like to say, like, putting ourselves, our ego, putting us into this victim modality disempowers us in a way that's huge. Like we need to move away from that as best we can at whatever pace and whatever, um, however we can do that, right? And that's our free will. Like the free will ties in there really nicely because the free will is what helps us see a situation in one way or another and to choose one way or another. I'm going to do a whole other video and I'll get into free will in another video. I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but for sure next week because free will, and I've done videos on free will. I want to go a little bit deeper into it. So if there's any questions around free will, please put them in the comments and I'll add that onto the video as like a little Q&A at the end. And then we go into like karmic energy with soul contracts because there's a lot of readings I do where there's, and this has been my experience with certain people, with certain human beings, certain souls, where there's karmic things that I'm bringing in from past lives. We have a lot of past lives. There's lessons that haven't been completely finished, learned, or evolved. And then it kind of ties into sometimes it becoming a more difficult soul contract with the person. That's a reality. I see that over and over in the records. And sometimes it's because some things unfinished. For example, I'll see, to give you like a really concrete example, in reading sometimes, and I've seen this actually a lot now that I think about it, where there's been relationships, and this doesn't always have to be in like romantic or loving. It could have been in a parent-child relationship. Let me give you an example. For example, there's a father and a son in a past life, and the father abandons the child. And in this life, they come and incarnate as potential partners. And in this life, because this is ringing a bell, I don't know who this is because I don't remember who I channel or what I channel sometimes. And in this life, these two people are face to face with the opportunity to choose each other fully, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And that brings in that karmic energy from that past life where they weren't able to choose each other for whatever reason. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be able to see that through the records and understand it and be able to be more conscious of it. And a lot of times these difficult relationships will be tied to like things like forgiveness, acceptance, boundaries, self-worth, giving and receiving, right? Being able to flow with love, being able to connect to love. It could be about grief. It could be about just unfinished lessons, like I said, and from another lifetime, a past incarnation that the soul had with that soul. And usually the roles will be very different. It'll be a different dynamic, maybe even different ages that they meet each other. But I emphasize also free will is a huge part of these soul contracts because even in the sense that I was saying earlier, the soul chooses what soul it will interact with and what lesson it will learn. It's reciprocal, right? My soul and this person's soul will agree to it. Not everything's set in stone. So there's things that can be delayed a little bit, or you can choose it a little deeper, a little bit less deep. But even in that, the soul has free will. So if we sit with that and say, well, my soul chose this, I might not understand it at a mind or ego level, but if I sit in that and I accept that, then I can start to choose with more free will now because you always have free will. It might feel to a greater or lesser degree depending on your circumstances, of course. Free will is huge. You do not come into this life without free will. You do not incarnate without free will. It is a huge, like, it's almost like you have a contract. It's like, but remember, and under every clause it says free will. Like, it's literally like that. Bringing in free will, and I've been talking about the ego a lot as well here. The ego is another huge part of why souls incarnate here, because it's such a complex energy with the ego in this life, right? And it it's sometimes it's hard to detach from the ego, and that's why a lot of people meditate and they come back and they ground and they observe the mind. But ego ultimately is not a bad thing. Ego is here to protect us because it can protect us. The idea is that we can become more evolved over time and understand what can actually hurt us or put us in danger and what doesn't, right? What is something of our mind or emotional, right? Something that comes from our upbringing, our own wounding, our inner child healing that we haven't done. And we can really sit and observe that and understand it at a deeper level. And I always say it's almost like stopping and sitting with yourself and asking, not asking, like it's not asking, why is this happening to me, right? Because then you're in that victim energy, that's ego energy. It's more this, what is this experience, the soul contract inviting me to see about myself? What is it inviting me to evolve in? Where do I need to grow from this? What am I not seeing that I need to see? These are huge like questions people bring into a reading too, right? So it makes sense. And the ego is very much about blame, shame, pointing fingers, right? About somebody doing something good or bad or something being well, it's the victim energy ultimately, right? And the ego wants certainty, wants concrete. The soul doesn't connect to that, right? The soul is about expansion, awareness, connection, understanding that we're just love and that we're all connected and we're all one, right? It's about sovereignty and responsibility for the self, right? It's finding individuality and authenticity. The ego is like they're two separate things, right? And we do come into this life needing to learn to deal with ego. It's something we might know. We all move through this, and we're going to learn this throughout our entire life in one way or another because we're going to learn it at a deeper level always. Some people learn it quicker, right? Um, I always say in a lot of readings, because it comes through as this, and I understand this for myself, and obviously this is all my understanding and my perspective, but soul contracts are mirrors. So there somebody that mirrors you is always going to teach you and show you something about yourself. It's never about the other person. If somebody says something and it triggers something in you, it's about something that's already inside of you. That person's just showing it to you. And I would say that's wonderful. It's wonderful because the person's teaching you something. You don't even have to talk to the person about it. You can just have that realization within yourself and be like, oh, I get it now. Like that makes sense. Like that's clocking now, right? Um, and I think these mirrors can bring huge spotlights onto things like abandonment, wounding, childhood trauma, other relationships. Like one person can show up and show you your relationship with your mom or your father. That's huge. It can teach us about boundaries. It can teach us about ourselves and that we need to love and accept ourselves more. That's been my story. Um, but it can also bring us on this path of understanding our strength. And I would say through the hardships is where we learn. We don't learn through the easy stuff. It's just, we could learn some things, but it's just not the same. It won't stick the same way. It won't evolve us in the same way. The more we can accept that, the less we'll resist and the less we'll suffer, right? I want to go back to something I said a little while ago. I know some relationships and some soul contracts can be very complex. There can be a lot of trauma. There's going to be a lot, I mean, obviously trigger warning that it could be really traumatic things, right? And sometimes, and I want to say this because I think this is so important, sometimes a lesson is understanding that you need to leave, remove yourself. Sometimes even putting a boundary is not enough. This sometimes is a lesson for some people to choose to leave something behind. And that's not easy for a lot of people. to end something, be like, this is the end of this. I can put this here and I can move forward. And there's probably a huge transformation in that, right? And I try to steer away from trying to use this word forgiveness a lot because I think that can feel really hard. Uh, but I think with acceptance, we can work a lot better. If I can start to accept that this person isn't going to be what I imagined in my mind or what I projected them to be, I can accept them as they are and I can make a decision from that place. Acceptance is huge. You can obviously forgive, but you can't forgive if you can't accept. They're, it's not possible. It's complex, right? And obviously, if I were to open your records, I would understand things maybe from a different perspective, but I'm speaking in general terms, like I was saying. I also know that there's clauses within the records and within soul contracts specifically. So the clauses are almost like, if this happens, this or this could happen. And then we have the free will to choose. Free wills again, right? So for example, if you have a soul contract with somebody to teach you a lesson and then you choose to look the other way, you'll have another option. There'll be a clause, well, since this didn't work out, but you still need to learn that lesson, this thing will show up to teach it to you. So it's almost like so intricate. It's like I think like lawyers putting together a contract almost, but the soul is so expansive. And this is before we even incarnate. Like think about that for a minute. That it already knows all the scenarios I can play out. And it already puts all the clauses in there. So sometimes people say, was I meant to meet this person? Kinda. Sometimes it's kinda, sometimes like it's yes. Sometimes it's kind of because you didn't learn it with this person over here. So this person had to step in. I say person because we're seeing it as a person, but this soul had to step in to finally show you what you need to understand about yourself or what you need to learn and expand and evolve on. The soul will do anything, it will do any at all costs. It will bring in what it needs to learn the lesson because it's tough being on earth. Like it's not an easy thing. The soul thrives here in a sense, but also there's many other experiences the soul could have, right? I can only speak for this because this is where my awareness is right now. But if you do not learn with one person, generally speaking, depending on obviously your soul contracts, something else will show up. As I say, learn the lesson with what you have in front of you. Stop waiting. Surrender, right? And then free will would be like under the clauses because the free will is it's mandatory. You can't come here and not have free will. It's part of the experience here. And to understand also, as I wrote this down here, ultimately nothing is forced on us. The soul chose it in one way. The more we can understand, I think there's a part of us that can almost relax. Some things can feel a little bit more like predestined than others, but in general, when I say predestined, like something could happen more easily for this person and not for that person, right? But we're constantly choosing things, right? And it opens other paths and other possibilities. And it could even open a door to make a different choice or it can open up the timelines. I think that's better said that way. Like it can open up timelines to see things differently and to do things differently. We can fast track things because the sooner we learn things, the more we can just almost like coast through the experiences many times. Our ego is what gets in the way, right? I think that's pretty much it. But what I will say here, I wanted to close with something that I have here. My best advice is always like move away from the victim role and start to think about not like why is this happening to me or this thing's happening to show me something, right? The way I put it here is not like asking why is this person in my life, right? That question. I would turn it around and say, what part of my soul and myself needed this relationship or this person or this soul to show up to show me something? What part of me needs this right now? What is it triggering me to help me see and evolve in? When we change that question around, it almost just changes the perspective and helps us expand and learn more. Or another way that I would word that is, what is this soul trying to help me see that I can't see on my own? That's a good question. And I also think that not every karmic, the karmic stuff we talked about, I don't think every relationship is necessarily karmic when it's difficult. There's a lot of labeling, a lot of about twin flames and soulmates. Those things do exist, of course. Or a karmic relationship. Those things do exist for sure. But I think we put so much heaviness on those that sometimes it doesn't have to be that complex or difficult. It's just a connection that we're here to learn more from. So it can feel heavier. But I always steer away from labeling. I just like to look at the soul, the energy, and simplify things because otherwise then we can make it maybe something bigger than it needs to be. And then we're overcomplicating it, right? And I never like to do that. I like to keep things simple, clear, and concise as best I can, even though I can go around in circles talking about the same thing. Okay, this feels good to end here. Do I have more to say? Of course I do. I always have more to say, but this feels good. I will be talking about free will and a lot of other topics this month, but I'm curious to know if there's anything around soul contracts that I can maybe go a little bit deeper into in another video, or the free will aspect of it, because I will be doing a specific video. It'll be a lot shorter than this, of course, for sure. Or any other topic spiritually that I can connect with that could help you. I hope this has been helpful. I really feel like this is such a huge part of our experience here that if we can understand it at a more spiritual or energetic level, a lot of times it can help us through it. It's helped me for sure. And obviously even more if I can understand the exact soul contract through my records, even better. I'm sending you all a big hug. I hope you're all doing really well. And yeah, I look forward to doing more videos and connecting to you all. Sending you all a big hug.